Welcome, 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 everyone. It is Lonnie B, and tonight I'm sitting on a different side of the table. I'm actually joining in with Thad and Amanda of Total Grace Solutions tonight as they present their event tonight. Let's talk the language of love. Let's talk the language of love. What better topic to discuss tonight as we cover your language of love over the holiday weekend of Valentine's Day. Yes, I said holiday weekend. It's Let's Talk Language of Love. So tonight I introduce to you Thad and Amanda.
Good evening, good evening, good evening.
Hello, welcome to the show tonight.
Yes, welcome to Let's Talk, the language of love. It's great to have everyone here. We'd like to thank our host, Lonnie B, for sponsoring us and for being our producer for tonight. We'd like to thank her for all of her help and her assistance and just helping us be who God has called her to be. So we appreciate her. You can reach her at
Personability.com,
Lonnie B,
Creative Design.com,
or
I am Lonnie
B.com. So you can reach her. She does some of our graphics and she does a wonderful job. So we like to thank her. We also like to thank, we'll have a panel come in. We'd like to thank our panel being in. We'd like to thank those of you that are joining us tonight. So we appreciate it. And we're going to be talking and have a discussion about the language of love.
The language of love.
Yes, language of love. Actually going to be dealing with kind of with the 5 love language from a book you may have heard from author Gary Chapman. So we're going to be having a discussion around that. We'd like for you to join us in our discussion. We want it to be interactive and as helpful as possible to everyone.
Yeah, we also want to make it fun and enjoyable.
Yes.
We've got some questions for you to interact with, but you can also post your questions that you may have, and we'll be able to answer them for you while we're in session on tonight. Then we would also like for you to click share with a friend, share with family.
Yeah.
You can host the Facebook Live party if you would like, and you can just join us and have your friends and family join us as well. Tweet a friend if you have Twitter.
Yes, let me put my glasses on so I can see. Tweet a friend.
Tweet a friend. There are a lot of love songs that are out there. This is Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah.
So what is the love song that comes to mind? If you had to put a love song to our marriage, what would it be?
A love song to our marriage. I would say I'm a Brian McKnight fan, so I would use one of his song I Still.
I don't know that song.
I still dream about you.
Okay.
I still think about you.
Okay.
Yeah, I still.
You do? I'm glad you do. You're dreaming about me. All right, let's bring in our panel on tonight. And when we do that, then I'll tell you what my love song is.
Okay. All right.
So we would like to bring in Dondre and Tammy. They're great friends of ours.
Yeah.
Say hello, Dondre and Tammy.
Hello, good evening.
How's everybody doing? Good evening.
All right.
All right, and now we will also bring in Miss DeAndrea Andy Rose. We just met her last night, and I tell you, we enjoyed ourselves when we were on Optic Tea with Lonnie B on last night. She so inspired me with her motivation and with her vision and with her purpose. So we're glad that she's on with us on tonight.
Yes.
Hello, Thad and Amanda. How are you? Thank you for having me.
We're glad
you're here.
Yes. Now, the song that I would like to think of as a love song for us would be Always and Forever.
Always and Forever. By Heatwave.
Is that by Heatwave? I was thinking it was by Lionel Richie. See, I'm so wrong.
I grew up on those songs, as you do, but I listen probably more to them.
Yeah, you do. You do. All right. So we're going to ask Dondre and Tammy real quick if there was a love song that they would have for their marriage, what would it be?
I'm not sure it would be the same song. Who would you say?
I think from my perspective, it would be John Legend, "So High." I know that was our wedding song, and I think that it was appropriate for our relationship, our marriage, and to me, that still rings true today. I'm not sure if Tammy feels the same way.
Mine would be it's a song called "Nothing's Ever Felt Quite Like This" by Rochelle Farrell and on Will Downing.
Okay.
That's really a beautiful song. I love that. It's a duet. It's really pretty.
Okay. And Miss DeAndrea, what would you think would be the quintessential love song?
I'm going to have to piggyback off of that, but I'm gonna go with a different song, same artist, with Brian McKnight. I Never Felt This Way About Love.
I like that one too. That's a great song.
Good one.
That's a great song.
Good. So tonight, as we said, we're going to be discussing the language of love, and we're going to be focusing on the 5 love languages. A book written by Dr. Gary Chapman, and he goes through and he explains what love languages are. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
Love language. We talk about love language is, and I said, people ask, what is love language? Love language is basically, it is emotional tank. It's part of your emotional tank that needs to be, that all of us have. We have this emotional tank that needs to be filled. Some of it comes from when we were growing up. We might have got some of these from our values or emotions from when we're growing up. But when we grow up, these emotional tanks need to be filled. And when they're not filled, then we sometimes we feel like it's empty, or we feel like we're not appreciated or we're not loved. I think all of us growing up, we wanted, even from our parents, we wanted affection, we wanted affirmation, we wanted acceptance. So kind of like the love language are that the 5 love languages are that the emotional tanks that each of us have that have to be filled.
I think of a glass. I think you mentioned that earlier. You can have a glass half full or a glass half empty.
Yeah.
And when you're thirsty, you want to drink from a glass that's full. But even if it's half full and you're thirsty, you're still going to drink from it.
Yes.
You know? Yes. So you just have to replenish that glass if you want to drink some more from it.
Yeah. So it's important for not only for me to know what my significant other or my spouse's love language. It's important for me to know my love language, so that I can know my own emotional tank that needs to be
your emotional needs.
My own emotional needs, the tank that needs to be filled, so I can make that request of my spouse if I feel like I'm not receiving enough in that area.
Or my significant other if I'm dating.
Well, significant other dating.
That's interesting. You know, if you're dating, how do you get the person that you're dating to be interested in identifying what your love language is?
I think you have a conversation.
You have a conversation.
The expectation is to let them know if you know what love language your emotional tank needs, and you know what you need emotionally. Have that conversation. Say these are 2 things that I need emotionally from you. And have that conversation. Let that be the expectations for them.
Yeah. And if you're interested in identifying what your love language is, and you have not identified what your love language is, there is a free quiz that is available for you to identify what your love language is. And it is the love language quiz, I believe, .com is the email or the address for it. But you can just do a search for the love languages and quizzes, and it'll pop up and you can take that. If you aren't interested in doing the love language quiz, then there are 3 questions that you can ask yourself that may help you identify what type of emotional needs you have. And those 3 questions would be, how do I express love to others?
Yeah.
Okay. The second question would be, what do I complain about the most? Okay. And the third would be, what do I request most often? And I think those are kind of interesting because the way I express love is also the way that I want to receive love.
Yes.
And then the person that I may be involved with may not understand that or know that. Okay. And then the other thing is, what do I complain about the most? What did I complain about the most?
Well, it has changed somewhat because love language, there's primary and then there's secondary. But I would say your primary one would probably be acts of service. Used to be, but now that's kind of flipped because your secondary one is quality time. So now I kind of joke with you because you say I think you would rather for me to sit there and watch HGTV with you for a couple hours without the telephone, other than and not have acts of service.
Yeah,
that's important to you now.
yeah.
So that's
Before
the
it
quality
used to be
time.
acts of service.
Used to be acts of service.
So let's turn to our panel real quick and ask Miss DeAndrea first if she's familiar with love language and if she's actually what love language is.
Yes, I am. My primary is acts of service, and my secondary would be quality time. And so, yeah, I just show me better than you can tell me. Because you can tell me a lot of things, but it may not be the right thing. And so when you're showing me, I can see that your words are aligning with your actions.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
That's good. Now, Miss Tammy and Mr. DeAndre, what about you?
My primary is quality time. I'm real big on like that, said, putting the phone away, and if it's our time, it's our time. And my secondary, I believe it was words of affirmation. I believe it's my secondary.
Okay. And Dondre?
And then for me, I think I'm the typical male that physical touch is my primary love language. But my secondary love language is also quality time. So I certainly enjoy the moments that we have to spend together and enjoy each other's company.
Okay. Now, Joy and Darren said there's our acts of service and words of affirmation. That's good. Miss DeAndre, I'm gonna come back to you and ask you a question because you're our single guest on here tonight with us.
Yeah.
So kind of help us with being single and being, dating and how identifying what your, the love language is of the person that you're dating, perhaps.
Right. So I think the first part of that, of, being single and meeting someone new and having that whole anxiety of trying to see if this is going to be a good fit, right? We go back to basics. You have to have a conversation with a person.
Yeah.
Which different questions. And so what I've kind of do, just looking with the 5 love languages, but I think it's something that we do automatic. We ask those, kind of primary questions to see how someone may fit or, feel about certain situations. Mm-hmm. But I know being single, you're trying to, it's like processing information on the internet. Unfortunately, being single, you have to process through people so 10 times faster. Why? For one, for safety, right? And
yeah, exactly.
Mentalities of people, but also just getting to a space where you feel comfort in expressing how you feel as well. And so I think I've taken that whole step back and looking at it as to making sure that I'm okay, right? Like, so what is my language and how I have to be secure with that? Because I know times I brought in my childhood adversities that come into a relationship, right?
Yeah.
So I had to work on those things of ensuring that I am coming to the table of, if I want acts of service, am I willing to give that? If it's words of affirmation, am I willing to give a partner that? And if I'm not willing to do the work of the love language of my partner, then what are we doing, right? So I have to be 100 with myself to make sure that regardless of what my love language is that I'm able to cater to that, and I'm willing to go into that space for the person that I want to potentially love one day for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
That's good. That's good. Thank you. We appreciate that. For those of you, we kind of glossed over it a little bit by identifying what our own love languages are. But if you're not familiar with what they are, we'll just list them for you very briefly. The 5 love languages are words of affirmation, quality time, acts of service, physical touch, and receiving of gifts. I always forget that one because I'm not really a big gift person. Yeah. I do like to get them, but I can go and buy my own self gifts. Because I know what I like.
Yeah.
I know what I like. So I forget about that sometimes.
You got your own money.
No, that's not what I said.
Okay.
That's not what I said at all.
But I remember there were times we first got married. I used to get these Valentine's flowers, balloons, all kind of stuff. You was like, but because you was big on acts of service. Now that kind of stuff means a lot to you.
Yeah.
It didn't mean a lot to you back when we was what now 20s and 30s.
No, it didn't. It didn't mean a lot.
Yeah. So you,
But as time goes on, it
yeah.
did
So
change.
so that means these qualities, these your emotional tank of what needs to be filled, it changes over.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
could change over time.
Yeah.
So you might not. Your primary one may not be your primary one forever.
Forever. That is correct. I believe Joy and Darren asked us a question. Well, no, this is from Preston James. He says, "What if you believe that your love language doesn't just fit one?" And that is true because you could have two when
Yeah.
you do the score. When you do the quiz and you do the score, you could have two
Yeah.
that are very dominant. You can have them with the same score,
Yeah.
and you may be equal across the board when it comes to physical touch and quality time together. And you just operate in those, and you have to learn how. I don't want to say balance because balance is, I don't think, the best word for that, but be accepting of the love that's expressed when it's expressed, especially when it's your love language.
Yeah, I think it's great. I think also I wanted to bring up why is it important for those that are married or those looking to get married, seeking to get married? Why is it important for them to know each other's love language as well as their own? We might have talked about why is that important? What does it bring to the relationship? How does it make the relationship better? This way.
Let's ask our panel very quickly if they have a answer. We'll start with Dondre and Tammy first.
I think it's important to know your spouse's love language because I think the ultimate goal is to meet your spouse's need, to satisfy your spouse. And then a lot of times, I know early in our marriage, I made the mistake of thinking that she was like me. And so when I wanted to make her happy or to do something special for her, I would do what I would want done for me. And then I quickly found out that wasn't really working because she didn't receive it the same way. But now that I know what her love language is and I understand it, it allows me to, meet her need when I'm trying to show her how important and how special she is.
And I think it feels like it creates rather an emptiness, and my primary love language isn't gift giving, but I love giving gifts. Like I love just presenting people with things that I think they enjoy to let them know how special they are. And that's not just primary language, it's not even a secondary love language. So like he's telling me that he doesn't feel love coming from me, I'm not understanding why, because I'm pouring it out in a way that's natural for me. So for me to understand what his love language is, it definitely helps us to grow and to reconnect. Because communication in a way that he's receiving it. Not the way I think he should receive it, but the way he actually receives it.
Now, Ms. DeAndre, you kind of hit on it a little bit when I asked you about the significance or importance of identifying what the love language is of the person that you're dating. Can you just elaborate on that a little bit more for us in answer to this question?
Yeah, so I think looking at where I am, and they've said it before, it's one of those things of, am I operating from what I want, a container of I, or am I operating from a container of you? And so if I'm not willing to do that work to meet you where you are, because again, when people are intrinsically motivated, they do things that they want to do. And so, it's like extrinsic is a gift, but it's not a gift. It's actually a deposit into what you said, into the emotional tank. Right. Your deposits, and of course, we make good deposits. Eventually, we'll be able to draw more money out.
Yeah.
I go into the mindset of, I'm making a deposit because there's an exchange that I want out of this, right? And so it's not a manipulation. I don't look at it as a manipulation unless you're using it because that person will bend to that wheel. But in all honesty, it's am I in a space where I'm willing to give, and then because I want them to be happy, right? Like I don't know why we don't operate in that container of, am I in it for another person, or am I in it to do something out of it? And so when I say exchange, I don't mean an actual physical exchange. I mean when I give you something, I should be happy because you're happy. Right. And if I can't enter that space with someone, then I don't want to be married at that point, right? I want to have that tightness of understanding that this is together. But if I'm focused on you and you focus on me,
Yeah.
What we're, this is what we're so it's just a mind, it's getting your mind and changing your thoughts about a relationship. And so that information, the gifts and all, it's serious. Because if we get there and we can be there faster, we can get to us together faster.
Yeah.
I think one thing that it does, I think Tammy kind of mentioned it. I think it causes us to connect because I think sometimes people can be in love, or together, but I think it's another thing if they're connecting.
Yeah.
I think if the two are connecting, and I'm not just talking about connecting just on a physical level, but spiritual, intellectual level as well. But I think by me knowing my spouse's or significant other love language, it's a way that I know if that's what fills her emotional tank, then I'm connected with her on an emotional level.
Yeah.
Because I'm filling that emotional tank.
Yeah.
So that's I'm connected with her on an emotional level. I think it's one thing for us to be together, live together, and all that, but I think or be in love. I think it's another thing for us to connect on different levels, whether it be emotionally, spiritually, or physically.
Yeah. Ms. Vivian Smith says love languages are important to communicate with your loved one because you want a happy, fulfilling life with your partner. And I agree with that statement. And I think it goes back to what you were saying about connecting at an emotional level, because so many times throughout our relationship, depending on what stage you're in, you can become emotionally disconnected.
Yes, you can.
You think about the time period where you're coming together, we're all lovey-dovey, we're in that honeymoon stage, and everything is going so well, or everything is going so great because we're so in love with each other.
Yeah.
But then the kids come.
Yeah.
The job happens. Life happens.
Yeah.
And then we start focusing our energies on those things, and we forget to focus and stay connected with one another.
Yeah.
And through the process of time, if we say focused on those things, whether it's the kids, whether it's the job, or it's hobbies or things that we like to do, but we're not focusing on each other, we become emotionally disconnected.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that you see with couples that are becoming empty nesters. We were almost at that stage where we thought we were going to be empty nesters because our oldest child was in high school. He was a sophomore. We were getting ready for him to go to college, planning for him to go to college. And we're like, man, he's out the door. We're going to be empty nesters. What are we going to do?
Yeah, we were up and down the road with AAU too.
Yeah.
But we were invested in his future.
Yeah, we were invested in him.
That we lost connection with our present.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Because one of the things you said was you didn't want us to get to that point to where he's at the house and we look at each other like, who are you?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you? So I think that's why getting back to that connection and being connected, knowing each other's love language, because you can lose that emotional connection over the years. And I think it's important for us, and that's what we're here tonight. Tonight is we want to have a discussion, is hopefully to encourage, to enlighten. All of us are not perfect, and we need to be reminded. I know I don't always get it right as a husband. I'm sure most always don't get it right. So we always need that reminder, that encouragement, that kind of like push in the back to, hey, if you want to be there and be connected to your spouse, your significant other, whether you're dating someone or looking to get married to them, that hey, that there's a way to do that and be connected with them to knowing love languages and filling those emotional needs.
Yeah. Let's just put a question out there, if you would. The first question is, of the 5 love languages, which do you want more of in your relationship? And if you're single, which do you look for in a relationship? If you would just type that into the chat, and we'll be able to read some of the responses off.
So which one do you look for?
I asked the question again. Of the 5 love languages, which do you want more of in your relationship? And if you're single, which do you look for in a relationship? And I think for me, I'm looking more now for more quality time. And it's not just where we're just, it's more than just being together, but it's doing things together that we both like to do.
Yeah.
It's being able to say that we are connecting at a level that we haven't connected at in a while. It may have been,
Mhm.
you know, just being able to say, I'm here with you, I'm present, and I'm attentive to what it is that you have to say and what your needs are.
And you want me to put the phone down,
Yes, I do. I want you to put the phone
not look at my texts and messages, right?
down. Or the news.
All right, order news.
Do we have any responses? We got Kimberly Case Bell that says quality time. She wants more of that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
That is a good one. Miss Andy Rose, tell us which one you look for in a relationship.
You know, I think so. I've taken a different approach, right? Like, so the things that I'm always looking for, honestly, like if I'm looking for someone to give me acts of service, then it becomes a strike against them, right? It's just, you know what I'm saying? Like I'm already discounting for something that they don't even know that they should know to
That's
do.
the point.
And so I think when I walk into, when I'm looking for it, I'm looking for the subtleties, right? So what could be, what are the things that are actually filling my emotional tank at that time as well? And so I think I start with the words of affirmation, because my thing is, if you know, most guys will come in and smooth talky, it's good. But when they're really trying to connect with you, when they're really trying to know you, they're taking something that you've said and then they give life to that. Right. And so it's one of those things, well, can you speak life into me? You may not be able to run the way I want you to run and do the things, but can I get that? So I'm looking for maybe something out of each one of them, right? I don't know, gifts. I'm like you. I can buy my own. I'm good. I like it, right? So it's one of those things where you can just say, oh, and I just want to be, I tell my guy friends all the time, like women we do want to be vulnerable. You're looking at us thinking, oh, we have to be independent. Oh, I have to be in the driver's side. No, I don't. I want to be in the passenger seat. I want to know that you can get us there. Now, it may take us 5 hours and you won't follow directions. I have to be okay with that because I'm in the passenger seat. But if you ask me to get in the driver's seat, I'm going to drive. We got each other. I'm able to have that space where I feel comfortable, where I can be vulnerable, where I can connect with you. So I'm looking for those subtleties, and I'm looking for what just come out and be explicit about what it is that you want. And so that's what I just want: connectedness and realness.
Rose, Andy, when you were talking, I remind me of a song by Letty said. Letty said, "How you gonna add to me?" So, Letty said, "I got my own money, I got everything else, but how you gonna add to me?" That's what you're looking for.
Yes, confident.
I hear you.
Yeah. We had a couple of other responses come in. Miss Vivian Smith says quality time. She's looking for more of that in a relationship. And then for Joy Pearson, she says physical touch, more physical touch from Joy. Okay. How can you express, the basic is communication. But if you're communicating with your loved one or your significant other, what it is that you are looking for in a relationship and they're not quite getting it, how can you help them to understand what it is that you're looking for?
How can you get them to understand what you're looking for?
Yeah. How is it that you can get them to understand what you're looking for?
That's a good question. I think, once again, communication.
Mm-hmm.
But also in that communication, letting them know what it means to you.
Okay.
How important it is to you. And if they love you and they care for you, then they're going to listen, and they're going to put forth the effort to try to meet the need.
So it would help you to understand that I want more quality time if I come and say, I really enjoy when we spend time together and it's just you and I. No phones, no TV. It's just us.
Yeah.
And it makes me feel as though I'm loved and I'm accepted because I'm with you and I have your undivided attention.
Yeah. So because that lets me know it's important to you. You're not coming at me like blaming or anything like that, but you're letting me know it's important to you. You're saying what it means to you.
Okay.
So that helps me. Then once I know it means it's important to you, then I can respond.
Okay.
Then I can respond.
Yeah.
So I think that letting the person know what it means to you, it's important to you, then they can respond.
So give them the opportunity To respond.
Yeah, give them the opportunity to respond.
Okay. That's good. That is really good. Any comments from either of our panel guests?
I know, I will say over time, because Dondre and I, we anyone who knows us, we're night and day. We're very different. So if I just communicate to him the quality time is important to me, what quality time looks like to him is not what quality time looks like to me.
Ah,
So he can like come. I'm gonna put him out there, but he can come and we can just be sitting on the couch, and he's real big on let's watch a movie together, right? So he can come, and just because we're sitting on the couch together, to him that's quality time. But then he's on his phone, or then he's asleep. He'll fall asleep. So I had to explain to him, there's a difference. What he used to always tell me, there's a difference in time together and time spent. And we can just be together in the same space. That's not quality time. To me, what I'm looking for is no phone. Please take a nap before this movie starts. Let's set aside time for us. And we have recently begun to have lunch together throughout the workday. Supposed to be no phones. And just let that time be our time, undivided time. No kids, no puppies, no work, no naps, just our time. So what it looks like, explaining what it looks like to you is very beneficial. It helps a lot.
Yeah, and then I would say too, I mean, I agree with what Dad was saying about having the conversation about love languages, having a conversation about, look, this is what I'm looking for. Because I think a lot of times that, we come into relationships, we come into marriage is being very me-centered. This is what I want. This is what I think it takes to make us happy, without really looking at that it's two different people that have two different ways of doing everything. And along with that, I mean, comes the different wants and desires in terms of marriage. And so I think that it's important to be just upfront about, like, this is what's important to me. This is what gives me energy in the relationship, the marriage.
Yeah.
I'm also interested in finding out what makes you happy. And then, so if you have that exchange, or if you have that with each other, then I think that it comes off as selfless and us, focused instead of me focused.
That's good. That's good.
Yeah, awesome.
Joy Pearson says taking time to do a check-in, having a conversation about where you are and what you need. And I think that kind of encapsulates what we were just saying here.
Yeah.
At this moment, we're going to take a quick break.
Yep.
And we will be right back with you.
Thanks, everyone.
All right, we're back. Thank you for joining us. And again, we want to thank our host, Ms. Lonnie B. of Percibility.com for being our host. She's our brandologist and business coach. She has been a great help to us in our journey. We started this last year, 2020, under COVID. And we're just thankful and grateful for the connection that God gave us with her. So if you need a brandologist, you need some graphic design, she does all that.
She's a visionary as well.
She is. She's definitely a visionary.
Yeah.
She will push you. She will push you. I tell you that. All right.
And thanks to our panel, thanks to Dondre and Tammy Maiden, and also I'm sorry, I got to put my glasses on. Andy Rose. Thank you for being here with us tonight. We appreciate you being our panel on tonight. And thanks to all of you out there that are on YouTube, Facebook. Thank you for joining us tonight. We hope that you are getting encouragement, enlightenment out of this discussion on love, the language of love.
All right, let's go to another question real quickly. What challenge do you have expressing love to your mate or significant other? I'll ask that question again. excuse me, what challenge do you have expressing love to your mate or significant other? You want to answer that? Am I a challenge to you?
Yes, you are.
Okay.
No, what challenge? I think the one challenge I kind of spoke about it earlier, not knowing at one time that your primary and secondary shifted.
Mm-hmm.
So I had to be in tune to realize when it shifted and what has shifted.
Yeah.
Like you went from
Acts of service.
acts of services now it's acts of service now it's quality time.
Yeah.
And it's both, but it's still,
Yeah.
So I think that would be the challenge, just knowing, being in tune with knowing when the primary and secondary, when it has shifted. When one is not as important as the other.
Okay.
But both of them the tanks need to be filled, but one of them has kind of like taken a step back to the other.
Yeah, because of the season that we're in,
Yeah.
the love language shifted. There was a time period where it was acts of service because both of us were working.
Yep.
Both of us were active duty military. And we had our oldest son. So it was just the three of us for a long time. And with me working the hours that I was working, with you working, I wanted to be the Angeline woman. I don't know if everybody out there remembers that commercial.
Yeah.
I can bring home the bacon, fry it up in a pan, because I'm an Angeline woman and all of that. But there became a time, and I believe Andy Rose spoke to it earlier, I didn't always want to be strong, even though I'm independent.
Yeah.
I wanted to have a person to lean on.
Yeah.
And when acts of service was big to me, that was because I wanted to be able to lean on you for you to take care of some of those things that needed to be taken care of at home. And that presented a challenge for us in our relationship at times.
Yeah, it did.
And it didn't always make for smooth sailing.
No, it did not.
But then after our oldest son got older and you were getting close to retirement and I was getting kind of close to retirement, things kind of shifted, especially when we had our youngest son, because then I began to look at my home not as a place that was like a mausoleum, always had to be clean, but it was lived in.
Yeah.
And it wasn't worth expending all my energy but being frustrated with you for not picking up, not doing the laundry, doing the dishes, those kind of things.
Joy said something about, she said, yes, it is shifting. She said, I agree, man, it is shifting.
Yeah.
So I guess in hers is shifting.
Yeah, because now they are empty nesters.
Yeah.
They are empty nesters, and it does shift.
Yeah, it changes.
Yeah.
So the challenge is, man, for me, was knowing when it's changed, knowing when it's shifting, and being ready to respond. Yeah.
Do we have any input from our panel on that question?
The barrier for me in communicating is myself. A lot of times I'm my own worst enemy. I am. And it's like that pride thing. I know a lot of people talk about male pride, but I suffer from that. So a lot of times I feel like I have to stand my ground, and like, if I go and, if his primary love language is physical touch, if I go and give him a hug, I'm supposed to be mad, then, he's not going to understand why I'm mad, So getting over myself, like getting out of my own head. Sometimes, like, I'm my biggest barrier. Just dropping my guard sometimes and loving him the way he needs to be loved.
Okay. You have a response to that, Doctor?
No, I mean, I can understand what she's saying. In terms of challenges, for me, I think sometimes I stay in my head a lot and I overthink things. And I think that sometimes my challenge is, will she receive it in the way that I'm communicating it? Will she think there's like some type of ulterior motive? So sometimes I might not be as expressive in terms of communicating love because I'm worried about how it'll be received.
Yeah.
I think going into a relationship, you bring in some of those past learned behaviors, some of those past relationships. And so I think for me, the challenge would be adding on to knowing who I am, knowing myself, right? Know thyself, but then also knowing that I have to walk into this relationship and develop a healthy attachment style.
Oh, that's
Because
good.
you have all these love languages, but again, if you've never been in a space of creating something with somebody, cohabitating with somebody, I will walk into my own expectations and I will self-sabotage in a minute, right? Like, I will do it all the way because I'm like, nope, not check, didn't check. Or if I feel like I'm giving it to you and you're not receiving it, it's like, but I'm trying, I thought this is what you wanted. And so it literally is walking with this humility of I'm learning someone. It's like having and I hate to say it like that, but it's a newborn baby. And a newborn baby, there are things as the baby grows older, there are things that they're going to like and they're not going to like. And if I'm walking with the intentionality of I'm not raising a baby, but I'm walking with the same eyes and the same mindset of I'm learning. This is new to me. And so I have to walk in. And so that challenge is, remember, pushing self back. Like that's what relationships are supposed to be transformational, right? You're supposed to walk in and it's a place for growth. And if you can't grow with someone and you can't feel vulnerable to fail in the presence of someone, then you're already walking in with your representative. So that's a challenge within a challenge, because if you're sending your representative, you're not going to get the fullness of what you were actually looking for, because eventually the walls will come down.
Yeah, that's good. That is real good. You know, I liked how you said that relationships are transformational and we should be growing and we should be in a place to where we're adding value to each other. You know, and if we can't bring value to each other, then what's the point of our relationship?
Yes.
What's the point if I can't add value to you?
That's good. There's any other questions? I think there's one question. What is the correlation between emotional health and having healthy relationships? We talked about earlier about emotional health. That's what our love language is. It's filling those emotional love tanks. So what do you feel like the correlation is between emotional health and that helps you have a healthy relationship?
I think it kind of goes back to something that we said earlier, and I believe Andy just hit on it a little bit too, is coming into a relationship. We all bring baggage in our relationship, and it's bringing your whole self into that relationship. And when you bring yourself, you're bringing all of your experiences that you've had, whether from childhood or from early adulthood. You're bringing all those experiences. And if you're not healthy emotionally, you're not going to have, it's going to be difficult for you to have a healthy relationship. If I have low self-esteem, if I'm a person that avoids confrontation because I don't like confrontation, not that confrontation is bad, because confrontation, if you change your mindset and your viewpoint of confrontation, it's an opportunity for you to grow. But if I bring my low self-esteem, I bring my low self-confidence, I bring my all my desire to avoid having difficult conversations, then that's going to make for our relationship to have some great challenges, because my low self-esteem will cause me to think that you don't love me for who I am, that I don't bring value, or I don't have any value. Or if I think of myself, I have low self-confidence and I don't think I'm beautiful, I may be thinking that you're out there looking at everybody else. You know, so that causes, I think, a deficit in our relationship.
Okay. Question for you: when it comes, I was just thinking about, we're talking about healthy marriages, healthy relationships. What do you think? I'm asking you this question, just top of my head. Are they different, or are they distinct differences? Or are they the same thing? These three. Would you rather have a successful marriage, a happy marriage, or a healthy, or a successful relationship, happy relationship, or a healthy relationship?
I want to have a successful, happy relationship. I don't want it to be separate and distinct. Okay. I think we should be able to have all three. It's not an either or.
Yeah.
It's an and both.
Yeah.
That's the way I view it, or both and.
Yeah.
Let's put that question to our panel. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I think that a successful marriage would be a healthy marriage. I think successful to me encompasses, both of the other elements. So I don't think it. I mean, I agree with you, Amanda. I don't think it's a either or type of situation.
I agree because I think if any are missing, then the marriage isn't successful.
Awesome.
Miss Andy Rose.
Ooh, y'all asked me. Okay, so okay, so I'm gonna have to push back on the success, right? Because success is in the eye of the beholder. Success is an internal gratification.
Yeah.
Like if other people are looking at you and telling you successful, and you don't know that yourself, then you haven't attained it.
Yeah.
So when I look at it, I look at being healthy, right? Because when we talk about health is your wealth, right? Yeah. And then we look at being happy. Well, if I'm healthy, if my mind is healthy, which means I'm telling myself and I'm making deposits of affirmations. I'm making deposits. I'm making sure my emotional tank is filled. Then happiness is a byproduct of the health. Because remember, the health is the work that we put in. I can say I want to lose weight, but if I don't get my thoughts right and I don't get my feelings right, then the actions are not going to fall in line. So I think when we talk about health, and if you're saying healthy, then that comes from conversation. That comes from having those real conversations that actually come from the emotional response. Because a lot of relationships, good or bad, it's based off an emotional reactivity, right? Mm-hmm. Reactivity. We're reacting to something, and therefore the other person, it causes their body, to either respond, it's respond emotionally, verbally, or physically. And we're in this space again. So when we say I want a happy relationship, I do. I want a successful, happy relationship, but I know I got to get this health. So I got to get this weight off to get to my goal first. And then I can look at what those other two look like.
Right. That's a good point that you made. Happiness is based on happenstance, but joy is an inside job. And if you have joy on the inside of you because you know who you are and you know what your value is and you know what your worth is and what you're bringing to the relationship, then it's going to create, I think, a healthy mindset for who you are. Yeah. And it gives you that space to create a healthy relationship. Yeah. And it doesn't leave any room for misuse, abuse or any of that to come into play, I don't think, at least from an individual standpoint. Mm-hmm. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Okay. I think for me, I agree with what everybody was saying. I kind of lean toward the healthy because I think in life, anything that's living that is healthy, with all things being equal, it grows. It just grows. If you nurture it, if you love it, if you nurture it, and all that, give all the nurturance indeed, it grows. So I think if a healthy marriage is healthy relationships. If they are healthy, they grow.
So let me ask this question then. What does a healthy relationship look like? Since we're talking about emotional health,
right?
What does a healthy relationship look like?
What does it look like? A healthy relationship is where, in my opinion, is where each individual is receiving everything they need in that relationship. We talking about love language. Well, they're receiving emotional help. They're receiving love. They're receiving affirmation. All those things. If they're receiving everything they need, if they are in a loving, sustaining, what's the word I'm looking for?
I don't know.
Loving, sustaining, positive. Where they're communicating, that's to me that's a healthy relationship. Where there's open communication, where each person is being heard and understood, and each person is free to be themselves, and yet still come together and be one.
That's good. That's good. We have any comments? Let's see. Healthy from Joy Cake's person says well-rounded, balanced, comfortable. Communication exists and both are seeking to fulfill the needs of the other. And I think that goes back to thank you, Joy. Thank you, Joy. I think that goes back. You helped him out. You helped him out. Okay.
We knew where he was going though. I was with you.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So that means that you're in a safe, healthy, I won't say safe and healthy, but you're safe enough within your relationship to be able to voice what your thoughts and feelings are without being judged, without being belittled, and you are presented an area, a ground for you to grow as an individual and as a person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
Now, I hope you're out there. If you're listening, I hope you're getting something out of this. You can put something in the chat. Put something in the chat or a question, or if you have a question or something will be answered, we hope we can get to those in our balance of time.
The question is, as a single person, is it important to share love language in the early stages? And we're going to turn to our single panelist for that answer.
Yeah.
Miss Andy Rose.
I would always say it makes it so much easier, right? I think it's all in the presentation. You know, what will turn a person off faster if you say, "Well, my love language is gifts." I can't afford that. I can't afford that lifestyle. And unfortunately, it's one of the probably most misinterpreted, love languages, because they're thinking about materialism, and it's not. It is, this person loves receiving little gifts. You could have wrote a little note, and they're like, "Okay, that's a gift, right?" You bought a long stem rose, laid it on the bed. Ooh, yeah, it's gonna be on tonight, right? It's just one of those things of it. You're filling that emotional tank, and so I think for me, when I'm talking to people, I'm saying, "Hey, I just need you." I understand how I love, right? This is the weight of the world. I think I walk around with the weight of the world on my shoulders. If you can say, "Hey, let me go put some gas in your car," you got me. If you can just say, "Hey, I'm gonna take this trash out because I see it sitting here," those are the things that I'm looking for, because you're taking that off my plate. And so those things I find comfort in. Now, if I have to ask you to take out the trash and you say, "Well, what's wrong with you?" Then, then up front, we may already have a problem, but see, that's what's wrong. As single people, we won't confront that head on. We won't look at that as a flag. It's a flag. If I have to convince you to do something that should come naturally because you want me to be happy, we're already at a conflict. And so, of course, I would stop and have the conversation. But at the end of the day, if it happens over and over, it's time to walk away, because that one thing that becomes 3 things becomes 20 things.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah,
that's real good.
That's real good.
That is really good.
The last question kind of ties into that.
Yeah, the last question does kind of tie into that. And this is again for you, Miss Andy Rose. If single or dating, or single and dating, what boundaries do you set for physical touch?
Ooh. Look, the only wow. So the boundaries so here's the thing: you have to coach yourself up before you even go on this date, right? Because you have to tell yourself the boundaries, right? Like, I'm gonna have these boundaries. Now, I will have to be candid that there are times where I thought I set boundaries that it didn't translate. It didn't I wanted it. But here's the other part of it. Are they able to be physical in public? Maybe a better thing. Like, if you have somebody walking and they're walking ahead of you, or they just want to grab your hand, then that's that. Physical touch and physical intimacy is 2 different things.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
If you touch my face and you're looking at me, okay, I can get with that, right? If the vibe is there. We always talk about the vibe, that connection is there.
Yeah,
so I think physical touch is fine with me, with me understanding that I'm already up front. This physical intimacy is not going to happen in this space. And I think I just want everything to be upfront. I think we hide a lot of stuff, and then we allow other people to kind of guess what we're thinking. No one can read our minds.
Right.
So being real upfront.
That is true. I appreciate your candor and your answer on that, because physical intimacy is different than physical touch.
Yes, it is.
It is. Holding hands, a kiss on the cheek, kiss on the forehead, a hug. Those are physical touch. The physical intimacy part is totally different. Totally different. Yeah. Well, we thank you for being on with us. We're getting close to the close of our session or our event on tonight. And we would just like to ask, if you got any questions before we close out, go ahead and put them in the chat and we'll be able to answer them. You got any comments, put them in the chat. If you really enjoyed what our discussion has been tonight. If you've enjoyed our panelists
You want to do it
on
again?
tonight, if you would like to do this again, put that in the chat and let us know. We're just so excited and glad to be with you. We're thankful and grateful for our panelists that we have on tonight. We kind of, for Dondre and Tammy, we didn't tell them we were going to be asking them a whole bunch of questions. And we kind of like put them on the spot. Well, we really do truly appreciate them being on with us on tonight and, flowing with us and answering and being, open and honest as well. And we also thank Ms. Andy Rose for being on with us. We really enjoyed having you and answering the questions. And I think one thing that we have been out of the dating game for so long.
Yeah.
We understand somewhat because of our oldest son, but we don't know what is all out there when it comes to being single and dating.
Yes.
And I know things have completely changed.
Completely. The game has changed. Keep the one you with. Keep the one you love. Stay with them. Work it out because you don't want any of these dating streets. It's different.
Yes.
You gotta wait on God for real.
I like for each one out there, each you or your couple or you're dating or single or dating, or maybe you are getting ready to be married. Take the time to, you can't not now, those of you that can, you call them up if you're dating, they're not with you. But take a few minutes over this weekend, have a conversation with your spouse or your significant other. Just ask those questions to them. What can I do to better feel your emotional tank? How can I help you help me? How can I help you? What can I do for you? How can I stay more connected to you? I know this is Valentine's weekend. I know that people want to show love or express love during this weekend. But take the time to get with your spouse or significant other. Just have a conversation around about how can we spend time with each other? How can we add value to each other? And how can we fill each other's emotional tank? If you're interested in the 5 love languages, you can go to that website and get more information on that. And so you can see what it is that kind of go over those, read over those, what it is that we could do to help each other and fill each other's emotional tank. I think it'd go a long way and being a blessing to your relationship, to your marriage on this weekend and beyond. Anything else you want to add?
Nope. If you're interested in what we discussed on tonight or any more additional information as marriage relationship coaches and marriage mentors, you can reach out to us on our website at totalgracesolutions.com. And we will be glad to work with you and assist you in any way that we possibly can. And again, that's if you are interested in any marriage coaching, marriage mentoring, even one-on-one personal coaching and development, you can reach out to us at totalgracesolutions.com and we'll be glad to work with you.
Yes, we appreciate you being with us tonight. I think we talked about Miss Andy Rose. Can you give us a little bit about your platform and what it is that you do?
Thank you. I am a resilience coach. And so I help you get to the more of your life, the mark of resilience effect. And I help you navigate through the X of life, which is your adversity, your C, your challenges, your T, your trauma, and S for stress. And so getting you to your best and your better version of yourself. And so I created a girls program called Girls Esteem, that girls identify real life solutions through STEAM, science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. And so getting them to themselves, to who they are supposed to be, their authentic selves, being able to operate in their own voice and knowing who they are, whose they are, and more importantly, who is theirs.
That's awesome.
Awesome. And I want to balance the time. I want to give Tammy and DeAndre, I know they have a platform called Open Arms. And I want to give them just a minute. Tell us just a little bit about what it is that you do for the community.
Yeah, so Tammy is the president of Open Arms Empowerment Services, and it's a mentor group that also provides life coaching. We do a group session that is also, it's based upon the development of a butterfly, but sort of helps young people just transition from the caterpillar to the butterfly where they're flying. And so the focus on is really helping them just realize, I mean, you know, still in Andy Rose, realizing who they are, whose they are, and then what it takes to, you know, really get to success.
We appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we appreciate that. And then the balance of time, we also want to thank our host, Miss Lonnie B of I Am Lonnie B and Lonnie B Creative Designs and Perstability.com for being our host on tonight. She is such a great coach, friend, and mentor to us, and we're so grateful and thankful for this opportunity. We hope that you have enjoyed being with us tonight as much as we've enjoyed being with you. Until next time, we say so long.
Have a great weekend. Talk about the language.